Big day today. We're just waiting on some lads to come and start stripping this old roof off, repair some of the woodwork inside, and retile. So hopefully it's an exciting day.
But the roofer and his team didn't arrive that day. They were travelling from out of area, out of county, and I don't know if there was a problem with their accommodation or something, but it had to be put back until the next day. They promised us they would be here on Thursday morning. Now, we didn't want a full replacement roof, we just wanted a repair, and a lot of roofers didn't want to know unless you were getting the whole roof replaced. We knew that some of the beams didn't need replacing. We wanted to replace the tiles with slate tiles, but we really wanted someone to work with us on renovation rather than a new build. It was such a clear, dry day and ideal for working on the roof, so it was a shame to miss that opportunity, but Noel just carried on with some pointing for the rest of the day.
Any of these old joists that have been joined badly or taken out, hopefully be replaced. There's some of the rafters there that, because of where the chimneys were, don't go all the way up to the ridge. They'll be replaced.
The next day, when they didn't arrive as expected, Noel rang to see what was happening. The guy was in a bit of a state. One of the lads had crashed the van on the way to the house. They were just down the road. What are the odds of that happening? He couldn't think straight. He didn't know when he'd be able to be there. It was a write-off. They would need to travel back to their home county, pick up a replacement van, travel back the next day. Now the thing is, we'd already transferred some money for the materials, which is quite usual practice at the beginning of a job because the tradesmen can get a better price with the merchants. But we were starting to feel a little bit nervous. We didn't know anything about these guys. They weren't on recommendation, we had no positive reviews to read. Had we made a big mistake? Had we been duped? Could we trust them? That evening, Willie rang. He's the neighbouring farmer. We've talked about him often. He sort of has this sixth sense. He asked how things were going and we told him. He said, "That gut tells me they did have a crash. I think he's telling the truth."
We're on day 3 of let's do some work on the roof. And finally, some roof ladders have arrived. And we have some roof battens. And we have some nails. But we also have an awful lot of work to do. We haven't actually got any people at the moment, but things seem to be moving in a positive direction. It's obviously the weekend now. They're trying to get as much materials up here as possible today because it's a bank holiday on Monday and tomorrow is Sunday, so everywhere will be closed. So I think they're just scrabbling now to get materials to keep them going for the next couple of days and hopefully keep working. Let's see how we get on.
Be careful all times on ladder, okay? If you fall, I can't bring you to the hospital for a while.
No going back now, Pat. There's no going back now.
No. Keep it lit.
This reminds me of one of those Christmas decorations where you have a little house lit up from the inside with a tea light candle. It's really sweet. Here Noel is using the grinder to remove some of the render on the outside wall to make room for the new fascia board. That wind seems to be picking up. But just look at the colour of that brooding sky. There's beauty to be found everywhere.
Just waking up this morning in the caravan, and I don't know if you can see that. This is Roy's water bowl. It's frozen indoors. Eek. 5 litre bottle of water there. Oh. Completely solid. Well, it's not completely solid. There's a little bit of air in there, but that's pretty solid. That's cold this morning. Very cold this morning. That black roof is white this morning. Everything's frosty and cold, crisp. Quite clear and bright. Should be a nice day. Just a cold start.
At 7 o'clock, Noel got a text from the roofer saying his wife broke her foot yesterday and they only put a boot on, so they need to take her back to the hospital for a cast fitting today, and he wouldn't be in until the following morning. Noel carried on with some scraping out, ready for more pointing. I have to say, I love the way that daylight comes through that open roof. It's just covered with like polythene plastic covering, but the daylight and the soft tones of the stone is just beautiful. It's quite pleasantly musical, the sound of that falling dust and debris. Now, the agreed deadline for completing the roof is Sunday the 16th of February at the very latest, and so there were only 6 days to go at this stage. The front side is quite away from being finished, and they haven't even started on the rear side of the roof. So much time was lost when the weather was fine for one reason or another. Would it be finished in time? Would they rush, cut corners and not make a good job of it? Lots of unanswered questions at this stage, and it was all a bit up in the air. Excuse the pun. The sun is low in the sky and we're really against the clock now. On Monday, other builders will be coming to lay the slab, so everything has to be finished by Sunday at the latest. But then no spots of problem. It's not really noticeable in this picture, but the tiles haven't been lined up properly. It's all irregular and it looks like an optical illusion, like a wavy line as you look at the roof.
This tile to the next tile is 334, 335. One above it is 245. That's 90mm difference on that one. That one 245. That one 245. So it's from this row here, all that up there, back to the ladders, has to be stripped off.
Noel had some phone calls to make and he was talking to the people coming next week and then to the structural engineer, so he wasn't watching all the time and didn't see that this had been happening until you know they'd gone quite a long way with it and it wasn't right. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, and he'd notice it every time that he drove down the drive and be looking at his wonky roof, so you know it had to be changed, it had to be right. The wind is starting to build up again as the boys pack up for the night. The plan is to come back the next day and then work through the weekend. They didn't return the next day, so Noel went up on the roof to replace the 12 tiles that had blown off overnight because the ridge tiles hadn't been placed on and they were only loosely applied at this stage, so they weren't weighted down by the ridge tiles. While he was there, he noticed that the top crossbeam had some rotten wood, but it had just been felted over. So Noel uncovered it and got rid of the rotten wood, just cut it away, then it was fine. It's 5 days on now, Tuesday the 18th, and still no heard from the roofer. A mixture of misfortune and perhaps not having a team around him, or enough of a team around him that he could rely on. He just couldn't complete the job. Sometimes when things aren't going as you hope, there's only one thing for it. You've just got to dance.